Got a big biology test coming up? Kind of freaking out about the whole animal versus plant cell thing? Hey, don't worry. You're in exactly the right place. We are going to break this all down, make it super simple, and make sure it actually sticks. You're going to walk into that test feeling like a pro.
So let's just dive right in, shall we? This is the big question, the one that trips a lot of people up. What is really the difference between an animal cell and a plant cell? By the end of this, I promise you're going to have this down cold.
All right, let's kick things off with the absolute must-knows. These are the main differences, the stuff you have to get right on your test. No fluff, just the facts.
Okay, think of this table right here as your ultimate cheat sheet. Let's run through these 5 key differences. First up, the cell wall. Plant cells have this tough, rigid wall made of cellulose. Animal cells? Nope, don't have it. Second, chloroplasts. You know, the little green guys that make food? You're only going to find those in plant cells. Third, the vacuole, which is like a storage tank. In plants, it's this huge, permanent fixture, but in animal cells, they're tiny and temporary, if they even have them at all. Fourth is the shape. That rigid cell wall gives plant cells a fixed, kind of rectangular shape, while animal cells are more flexible and roundish. And last but not least, how they store energy. We animals use glycogen, while plants use starch. Seriously, if you can just burn these 5 points into your brain, you are already halfway there.
And you can see that difference so clearly right here. Just look at the plant cell on the right. See that sturdy, almost boxy shape? That is all thanks to the cell wall giving it structure. Now look over at the animal cell on the left. It's rounder, a little more blob-like, right? That's because it doesn't have that rigid outer layer. The picture really says it all.
Okay, so we've hammered home the differences, but they're not total opposites. They actually share a lot of the same core machinery that keeps them running. So let's take a look at 3 of the most important parts they both have in common. First up is the nucleus. This is the big boss, the command center, the brain of the cell, whatever you want to call it. It's in both animal and plant cells, and it runs the whole show. And most importantly, this is where it keeps the cell's genetic blueprints, the DNA. Bottom line, the nucleus is in charge. Next, we've got the mitochondria, famously known as the powerhouse of the cell, and for good reason. This is where the cell turns food into usable energy, a process called aerobic respiration. Both plant and animal cells need energy to live, and the mitochondria are where they get it. Here's a pro tip for your test. Cells that need a ton of energy, like your muscle cells, are packed with way more mitochondria. And let's not forget the tiny but super important ribosomes. Think of these as the cell's little construction workers. Their one and only job is to build proteins, which are absolutely essential for pretty much everything, like growth and repair. And since all living things need proteins, you'll find these little factories in both animal and plant cells. So we know what they share. Now for the fun parts, the plant cell's special toolkits. These are the organelles you will only find in plants. This is the stuff that makes a plant, well, a plant. The absolute star of this toolkit is, of course, the chloroplast. This is where the magic of photosynthesis happens. It's got this green pigment called chlorophyll that soaks up sunlight, which lets the plant make its own food. This is the #1 reason plants can just chill in the sun while we have to go find a sandwich. They're literally tiny solar-powered food factories. And the second key piece of equipment is that massive central vacuole we talked about earlier. It is so much more than just a storage unit. Yeah, it holds water and food and waste products, but its main job is to push out against the cell wall. It creates pressure, and that pressure is what keeps the plant standing up straight and tall. You know when a plant starts to wilt? That's because its vacuoles are losing water and losing that pressure. It's a storage and support system, all in one. Okay, deep breath. That was a lot of info, I know. So let's do a final super fast recap to really lock all of this in your memory. This is the slide you want to take a mental screenshot of before your exam. Let's do this. Rapid fire summary. Animal cells, no cell wall, no chloroplasts, and small vacuoles. Got it? Plant cells. They do have a cell wall, they do have chloroplasts, and they do have that huge central vacuole. And what do they both have? A nucleus, mitochondria, and ribosomes. That's it. That's the core of what you need to know. If you remember that, you are in fantastic shape for your test.